straight shooter with nostalgia I haven't felt in a long while. You make it feel like it's the arcade when we play in pixel out until the day breaks. We'll keep breaking down with something next to play. Big change, the score is rising as the screen fades. Ain't over when you stay. Now who's that saying they're the pinball wizard? He moves too slow with his grubby little fingers. Keep pressing buttons and see what gets triggered. I'll just smile and watch him reconsider again.
Woo! You're watching The Fight Guy, and I am your host, Guy Pert. It is Super Bowl Sunday, February 9th, 2025. Go Birds, baby, go Birds. The Eagles are about to win the Super Bowl in a few hours. UFC 312 occurred last night. Thoughts and prayers go out to all of you that were in attendance in Sydney. It was a sad night for UFC fans all across the globe. I'm going to break down everything that occurred yesterday, starting with the early prelims, working my way all the way up to the main event. Don't want to waste any time. Let's get right into it. First fight of the card, Quillan Salkilld versus Anshul Jubli. This exactly what I told you would happen happened last night. Salkilld got Jubli out in the first round, 20 seconds in, via knockout. I think it was a bit of an early stoppage, but as I discussed on Friday's video, I did have a bit of a beef with Indian people going into this fight card. I do believe that Salkilld did help resolve that, so thank you, Jubli, for your sacrifice. It's going to be a while before the UFC sees any new Indian prospects. That's my guess. Let's move on. Next fight, Jonathan Micallef, Kevin Jousset. This was a great fight for Micallef. I mean, this guy has fantastic kicks. My God, Jousset's body was bleeding in reverse. It looked like blood was going into his body. His skin was so red. It's going to be... Luckily, Valentine's Day is right around the corner because maybe it'll blend in with the theme. But Jousset got his ass kicked in a unanimous decision victory. Micallef looks to actually be a half-decent prospect. I would like to see his grappling get tested, but on his feet, he was just... His shots looked like they were hitting harder, and they were just that much quicker than Jousset's, so he was landing more. He looked great. Love to see who they give him next. I thought Jousset would give us a little bit more. I thought his performance against Brian Battle was great. I thought he would learn some things from that fight and apply them to this one. Didn't quite see that. Excited to see where this prospect goes. Really like Micallef. Did get that pick wrong, but didn't have a lot to go off of from Micallef. I haven't seen him fight before, so we're going to move on. Third fight, early prelims, third fight of the entire card. This was my favorite fight of the entire night. Kody Steele versus Rongzhu. First and foremost, best first round of a fight I've seen in recent memory. These guys, the pace that these guys were pushing. Give me a better example if you watch this fight. The first round was like the movie 300 condensed into 5 minutes. Rongzhu cracked Kody hard round one. Kody got cracked hard as fuck round two. Then ended up inverted against the cage. So Austin, Texas, no-gi black belt's going to do what Texas black belts do. He rolled 50-50. He tried to attack a heel hook. 3:30 left in the second round. I thought he could have gotten it. He was a little bit above the knee. So, you got to capture that knee line whenever we're talking leg attacks. 50-50. This is some stuff that maybe other YouTubers or people that don't train don't know. But it was a great attempt. In the second round, Rongzhu's striking is just so much better than... I don't want to say so much better than Cody's. It was better than Cody's last night. Rongzhu is very experienced. He's got over 20-something fights in his 20s. Pro fights. Cody's got half of that, not even. Kody was just behind on the exchanges. Got dropped a couple times. But at the end of the fight, they did the Holloway-Gaethje standoff in the middle. It slowed down near the few seconds of the fight, but it was exciting to watch. You kind of had that nostalgic feeling from April last year. You didn't know what was going to happen. I loved it. It was my favorite fight. I believe it got fight of the night. But it was a great performance from both guys, really. I'm excited to see Rongzhu fight again, and I'm excited to see Kody Steele fight again, just like if he would have won, honestly. We move on. Next fight is on the regular prelims. We have Colby Thicknesse versus Aleksandre Topuria. We got this one right. We went with Topuria. This was a great fight from both guys. I was very impressed. I was more impressed than I thought I would be. Topuria was a lot more patient. He was a little bit more of the counter striker in this fight. He cracked Colby with a minute left of the first. He was getting criticism from the booth, even on social media, a whole bunch of people, saying he needs to be more active. Well, I mean, he's applying his game plan. You're playing a chess match in there. He knocked him down with a minute left of the first, so I thought Topuria looked fantastic. Topuria even suplexed Thicknesse with 10 seconds left of the first. I think I'm in love with this guy. Very patient despite his success in the first round, starting the second. Thicknesse is definitely the more active guy in this fight. He was throwing a lot more, moving a lot more. Topuria was just slow and followed him. Waited for his opportunities, and he took them. Round 3, we got to see Thicknesse's guard game. I love his guard game. He threw up a buggy choke. I don't remember seeing a buggy choke attempt in the UFC. That's some high level, like no-gi grappling stuff. He threw up some rubber guard. He has a really nice guard. It's fun to watch. I'd love to see this guy in the UFC. I'd love to see who he fights next. Both of these guys. Good win for Topuria. We move on. We got Wang Cong versus Bruna, Brazil. Holy cow, was this fight not the most exciting fight on the card? Cong took the first round. She just controlled, landed more. Brazil, she's pretty good at running away. She literally sprinted away in round 2. Brazil landed 6 significant punches in round 2 to Kong's 30-plus each round. Just to give you an idea how that fight went, Wang just kind of dominated Brazil. Brazil visibly quit going into the third round with her body language. Looked like she didn't even want to be there. She trains at the Fight Nerds, which is a fantastic gym, but she fought like she was just a nerd last night. She didn't look like a fight nerd at all. She looked like she was a nerd running from a bully, and that bully was Wang Wang Kong Bangagong. She looked great everywhere against somebody who doesn't. Not that impressed with her haircut. Could grow it out a little bit. That's as much time as I want to spend on this fight, and we're going to move on to the next fight. Tom Nolan versus Viacheslav Borshchev. This was a fantastic fight. Tom Nolan looked amazing. The stats make it look like it was a little bit closer of a fight than it was. It was a unanimous decision victory for Nolan. In the first round, Nolan jumped the back, already threatened the choke just by putting his hooks in. Ends up in side control with a darce. Slips in a couple heavy elbows from side control. I really liked his ground game. Landed great strikes. He was winning more of the exchanges on their feet. Borshchev landing some good shots too, just outside of a minute left in the first, but not enough to win the first round. Nolan reminds me of Sandhagen with his creativity. Beautiful takedown with 122 of the left of the second round, probably securing that round for him, and it looks like it did with the scorecards. Round 3, Nolan landing beautiful strikes, ends up on his back somehow, then feeds the Russian Bear up kick sandwiches. This guy's up kicks were amazing. He looked like Kevin Holland before he forgot how to fight. Great win for Nolan. Borshchev is on a slope right now. Don't know if you cut this guy or you give him another contender. Not looking good for the Russian. Great win for Tom Nolan. We got that one right. We move on. Jenkins versus Gabriel Santos. This was an amazing fight. Jenkins rocks Santos hard with a beautiful head kick, but he's too sloppy when raining ground and pound on Santos's guard. Very rookie mistake. Even before what happened next, but what happened next was a triangle choke, a very tight one coming from Santos. Right before that happened, I mean, it was 15 seconds. Jenkins is he's halfway inside of the guard, halfway outside of the guard, trying to rain punches. To avoid a triangle choke, you either need to have both of your arms inside or both of your arms outside. And he was just ending up, when he was swinging his ground and pound, he was very sloppy with his awareness. What he should have done is just stood up and knocked Santos out on the feet. That fight would have been over. He would have won. He got lucky getting out of that triangle. He settled into Santos's guard, who's got an amazing guard. It was a beautiful display last night. Settled into Santos's guard against the cage. Santos just robbed all momentum from Jenkins here. It looked like he was going to steal this fight with that head kick, and it was robbed. Santos took over striking the next round, landed a dirty front kick that Jack ate faster than cotton candy. Gives his back, and then he got choked out. That was pretty much it for that fight. That was the last fight of the prelims as well. We move on to the main card. First fight of the main card, Jake Matthews against Francisco Prado. First thing that came into my mind before this fight even started is you could visibly see how much smaller Prado was than Jake Matthews naturally. Jake's a lot quicker than Prado. It's helping him find success on the feet and winning more of the exchanges. Prado did land a takedown. He had a few leg kicks in. It was a competitive first round, but I got to give it to Jake. Round 2, Prado is doing well. It just seems that Jake's shots are hurting much more, and that goes into the weight differential. I think Prado needs to go down to lightweight. He was slower and weaker than Matthews, and it didn't look like it's anything he could do to train to fix that. It just looks like he needs to go down a weight class. Prado was just visibly behind Jake the entire fight. Round 3, Jake's pressuring Prado, who's backpedaling the entire first minute. Jake winning the first half of the round 3. Jake's really the best round of the fight for Jake was round 3, and he just kind of got better and better. Great win for Jake. We got that one right. Francisco Prado, good effort, man, but you need to go down to lightweight and see if you can get competitive in that division. Don't get it twisted. This was a shit card. There were only 4 total ranked fighters on the entire card. We're on the main card here. These two weren't. Nobody's ranked but the 4 fighters fighting for the belt. Despite this, because it is a main card, I still want to give my 2 cents on who each fighter should be fighting next. As for Francisco Prado, you need to get down to lightweight, buddy. Anybody at lightweight. Jake Matthews, I would love to see him fight somebody like Michael Hazia. I think that'd be a great matchup. Somebody with a little bit of momentum going into the year. I think that'd be a great matchup. I think he just fought on the last pay-per-view of last year, so the timing could work out. We move on. Second fight on the main card. Again, neither of these guys were ranked. However, still an amazing main card quality level fight. Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo Bellato. I mean, these guys were going for it. Just to start the fight, Rodolfo lines up a slick trip, but he screwed up the finish, resulting in him getting mounted by Jimmy Crute 1 minute into the fight. Silly mistake. Costed you the victory, really. I mean, costed him the victory. All he had to do was not get 10-8, but that's what happened. Jimmy Crute maintained control the entire first round. Rodolfo was fighting for his life. I thought he was going to get finished with the final seconds of the first, but he powered through it, man. It was a very impressive showing of adversity for him. So that was a 10-8 round for Jimmy, which nobody saw coming. Going into the second round, Crute was hot for the first minute, then Rodolfo started to take over from here. So after the first minute of the second round, it was pretty much Rodolfo's fight. Crute had some great exchanges as well, but Rodolfo, especially with the leg kicks, compromised Jimmy Crute's left leg. At the end of round 2, you could see Crute visibly flinching on his face every time Rodolfo goes to attack. So round 2, I got to give it for Rodolfo. Going into the third round, you could see Jimmy Crute's left leg is heavily compromised. I didn't feel like Rodolfo attacked it as much as he should have. I think he could have gotten to finish that fight if he would have targeted Jimmy's left leg a little bit more. Nonetheless, he won more of the exchanges on the feet in the second and the third rounds. Plus, he secured a takedown, got 20 to 30 seconds of control time in a close third round, securing him rounds 2 and rounds 3. That's how we got our draw, 28-28. It was a beautiful fight. As for who these guys fight next, I'm not sure. You could really give them I'd like to see a rematch, honestly. You can give these guys a rematch. It ended in a draw. Let's settle. We have unfinished business here. We move on. Justin Tafa versus Tallison Teixeira. This fight, not much to say about it because it didn't really take that long. I don't want my segment breaking down the fight to be longer than the actual fight itself. Tafa eats a knee after stopping one takedown attempt. That's what happened this fight. He stopped one takedown attempt, gets pushed up against a cage, tie clinch on the head, knee comes up, Tafa goes down. Great performance by Teixeira. Justin Tafa, who does he get next? Cut is who he gets next. He gets cut. You never heard of Cut? Cut from UFC. That's who he gets. Teixeira, I'd like to see him fight Sergey Pavlovich. Sergey coming off of a win last week. All right, the timing works out. We could line this up end March or mid-April. It'd be great. I think that'd be a great matchup. But, of course, there's a lot of other heavyweights before Sergey. I just want to see some drama. I think that'd be a fun matchup. We move on. Tatiana Suarez versus Zhang Weili. Well, we got this one wrong. I went with Tatiana Suarez just because she lost the press conference. I mean, I knew Zhang Weili would absolutely piece her up if Tatiana couldn't secure a takedown. That's pretty much what happened. Tatiana got a takedown on her first try, 45 seconds into round 1. And I was thinking, okay, this is what's up. This is going to be a competitive fight. She had an elbow or a punch, but Zhang sacrificed her distance, throwing the strike, and Tatiana secured the body lock, took Zhang down. Great series of some scrambling. Tatiana pulls a weak guillotine and ends up on her back. It was a great round 1, competitive round 1. I think the only round you could probably argue for Tatiana. Round 2, Zhang snaps down Tatiana halfway, but ends up against the cage. So Tatiana uses that position for her takedown attempt. She's bad at executing her takedowns. My God. She's great entries. She's got some great entries. But even like when we're talking about wrestling, you could even have shitty entries. The most important part is how you finish. That's the entire sport of wrestling. That's where scrambles come from. It's how you could finish. If you have a half-ass shot, at least you could, switch sides or, secure an underhook or go for a trip, maybe grab an ankle, But Tatiana Suarez was just very disappointing. It's very pathetic. I feel very, and I don't want to take away from Zhang Weili's performance at all. She is I think she is the female GOAT. I'll say that. But Tatiana Suarez made wrestling look bad last night. I don't want to claim her in the sport of wrestling with the performance that she put on last night. The takedown attempts were just shit after the second round. She couldn't finish anything. Going into, I'm going to go off script here, but going into the 5th round, there was a nasty cut on Tatiana's leg. She started I saw it in the 2nd or 3rd, and it just got a bit worse. It did look really nasty. And you could tell it was bothering her a lot throughout the fight. But going into the 5th round, after the 4th round, she's talking to her freaking corner. And she's telling her corner, like, oh, my knee hurts. Her corner's having to tell her, it's not that bad. You need to focus. You have 1 round left. We need to finish it. We need you to do something, like pull something out your ass. Anything. And her response about 3 or 4 times was, my knee hurts. She didn't want to be there. Which has to be the most terrifying thing in the world, to realize that you're a one-dimensional fighter and you're locked in the cage with one of the best Chinese prospects, the best women's prospect in the world, and she's trying to kill you. Tatiana Suarez looked like she was sleepwalking last night. Tatiana Sleepwalker Suarez is her new nickname. That's what I will refer to her as anytime I watch her fight. I'm disappointed. It will be very hard for her to make me a fan. As for who do these girls fight next, Tatiana Suarez, give her Mackenzie Dern. Tell me that's not a good fight. Tatiana Suarez's and her wrestling capabilities, all of her good wrestling skill set, the best wrestling we've ever seen in the women's MMA history, who got out-wrestled by Zhang Weili. Give her Mackenzie Dern. Let's see if that wrestling holds up against the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu martial artist, like it should, if it's as good as we all say it is. Very disappointing from Tatiana Suarez. Amazing fight for Zhang Weili. Absolutely amazing. As for who's next for her, give her Valentina and a long time off. Give her some time to rest. Give her some time to brush up on her Duolingo English studies. I love it. We move on to the main event. Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis. Round 1. Pretty equal exchanges. It was kind of like a rocking chair. Just back and forth. One guy, getting his licks in, the other guy getting his licks in. I had to give the first round to DDP, though. I'm not going to say it was very, very close round, but both guys had their moments, with DDP getting the better moments. Round 2, DDP was throwing all kinds of kicks. Body kicks, head kick attempts. DDP skimmed Sean with a head kick, but Sean looks like he's starting to read up on DDP's attacks. It looked like he was starting to time things up. That's what I thought when I was watching the fight. However, end of round 2, easy 2-0 for DDP going into the 3rd round. Round 3, it just looks like Sean's off. His body language just looks slightly off. I thought we were going to get a repeat of the Izzy Jamal Hill situation where the ref asked if you want to stop the fight because Sean got hit in the groin, but that didn't happen. He survived. Sean leading ahead of the third round until the end of the third. He got, I think it was the end of the third. I'd have to rewatch it. I think it was the end of the third, maybe beginning of the fourth. Sean eats a huge right hand from Dricus, breaks his nose. Sean's nose is busted. You've all seen the fight. If you haven't seen the fight, I'm sure you've already seen it on social media, what Sean's face looked like. Looked like a horror movie that hasn't come out yet. I mean, he got battered up. Dricus looked amazing. Beat Sean Strickland at his own game. Looking at the numbers here, it kind of looked a little bit like the first fight if you're looking at it on paper. However, Dricus only shot one takedown. Only one takedown. So he said, you know what, Sean, you want to stand and you bang? I'll play your game, and I'll beat you at it. Dricus looked amazing. He looked amazing. For such an awkward fighter who seems to lose his balance and just always... He looked amazing. His style it's like a wrecking ball, really. That's really the best thing to describe it. It's coming in. You know it's coming. How are you going to stop it? I think Khamzat will stop him, but fantastic win for Dricus du Plessis. As for Sean Strickland, I mean, god-awful. I'd like to see Nasruddin Imavov fight Sean Strickland next. I think that's a great fight. He just fought last week, too. The timing works out. He's a top contender looking to fight for the belt. Khamzat's next. Let Sean Strickland fight him. These guys, they're both going to strike. We want to see just how good Nasruddin is on his feet. Let him fight Sean Strickland. I think that's the fight to make. Dricus du Plessis fighting Khamzat. If he beats Khamzat, let him go up and fight Pereira. All right? Other than that, this card didn't change anything. It was pretty much outside of the co-main event and the main event. There were no ranked fighters. So as I said, this doesn't change the Marvel universe of the UFC at all. Hence why this shouldn't have really been a pay-per-view, but I digress. 2 out of 5 stars. And we're going to check the bingo card before I let you guys enjoy the Super Bowl. The Eagles are going to win it. You heard it here first. Let's take a quick peek at my bingo card. What do we got here? This is the free space where I'm putting my camera. We'll start at the top left. Fighter shorts did not come off. A fighter did not attack the referee. Jubli almost did. Bruce Buffer announcing error. Never going to happen. John Anik didn't make any out-of-pocket content. No. Got off a scorecard. Undefeated fighter getting finished. Nope. Did we have an undefeated fighter get finished? No. Did we? No. No. I thought Jack Jenkins was undefeated. My bad. Main event didn't miss Wade. Body slam KO. Almost. Topuria had a beautiful suplex, but Colby Thicknesse was not folding that easy. Michael Bisping, Lorisenko wasn't on the broadcast. Fighter didn't cry. Card not in Louisiana. Plus 500 underdog. Nope. No fights in the stands. It looks like we're safe. Sean Strickland doesn't go to decision. I don't know if that'll ever happen. Hopefully Imavov will knock him out. Sorry, I used to love Sean, but he let me down. He's let me down a few times. He's let me down 3 times in about the past 13 months. So, fuck Sean Strickland, man. Fuck Sean Strickland. Woo! That was episode 7 of The Fight Guy. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please give me a thumbs up. It'll help me out a lot. Consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more weekly fighter breakdowns, potential fighter interviews, and other special segments to come later this year. I will be going to UFC 313 March 8th in Las Vegas, so I'll have a special video out for that. But until then, I'm going to leave you to enjoy the rest of your Super Bowl Sunday. Fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds, baby. I will see you on Friday.